We know that radiotherapy is a standard treatment for localised prostate cancer. That is cancer that is still within the prostate. But 7,000 or around 7,000 men a year are diagnosed with prostate cancer that has already spread outside the prostate. So immediately the question of would adding radiotherapy to standard treatment for men who have already got disease spread, metastatic disease as it is called, would that be of interest? Well, 7,000 men I think are going to say, yes please, we would like to know.
When prostate cancer has spread to other parts of the body, it is usually treated with drugs which try to keep it under control. Recent research into new drugs has improved how long men with prostate cancer that has already spread live. But we still need to improve treatment so men whose disease is diagnosed after the cancer has spread can live longer. So what is radiotherapy and how is it given?
Radiotherapy is a treatment for cancer. It works by delivering high energy X-rays to the site of the tumour. It's usually delivered by a big machine called a linear accelerator. And as far as patients are concerned, it's a little bit like having an ordinary X-ray 5 days a week, maybe for 4 weeks.
The STAMPEDE trial has been running since 2005 and is testing new ways to improve prostate cancer treatment. In 2013, STAMPEDE started testing the use of radiotherapy to the prostate in men whose prostate cancer has already spread elsewhere in the body.
So in the trial, all men received the standard drug treatment, and half of the men in the trial also received prostate radiotherapy in addition. So the idea was to test whether the use of prostate radiotherapy would make men live longer compared with standard drug treatment alone.
This comparison recruited just over 2,000 men from across the UK and some men from Switzerland, all of whom have been diagnosed recently with prostate cancer that spread elsewhere.
By late 2018, the STAMPEDE team had enough data to look at whether radiotherapy improved how long these men lived. So what did it find?
For the group as a whole, we found no evidence using radiotherapy to the prostate improved survival. About 62 in every 100 men allocated to the standard of care was still alive after 3 years. And that was increased to about 65 in every 100 men still alive after 3 years with the addition of radiotherapy. So that's a very small increase, and we've got no evidence to show that that's a real effect.
However, when we looked at men who had what we call a low metastatic burden, so these are men whose cancer had spread to a limited extent, to the lymph nodes or to the bones and the pelvis and the spine. So these men with a low burden, they did benefit from prostate radiotherapy and they did live longer if they received prostate radiotherapy compared with drug treatment on its own.
There we showed that in the standard of care arm, the men not having radiotherapy, about 73 in every 100 was still alive after 3 years. And that was improved with radiotherapy to about 81 in every 100 being alive after 3 years. So that's about 8 extra men in every 100 still alive with radiotherapy if their disease hadn't spread very far from the prostate originally.
So, radiotherapy improved how long just some of the men in the trial lived. But did it delay the disease getting worse?
In terms of time to the disease getting worse, we showed a clear advantage to using radiotherapy for all of the patients, regardless of whether they had very low disease burden or whether they had a very high disease burden. Having radiotherapy kept their disease away for longer.
Sometimes improvements in life expectancy from new treatments come at the cost of increased side effects. So what side effects did men who received radiotherapy in the STAMPEDE trial experience?
It can affect bladder function, it can affect bowel function, but the risk of long-term bladder or bowel side effects is very small. And in actual fact, in the trial, the risk of side effects in the long run was no different in patients who did or did not receive prostate radiotherapy.
A huge amount of work from many hundreds of people goes into running trials like STAMPEDE, so it's always good when they find a new treatment that can benefit patients.
I personally find these results extremely gratifying. So in general, advances in cancer treatment tend to be with new drugs. They tend to be very expensive. There tends to be a great delay until they're available, and even then availability is limited. One of the great things about these results is that prostate radiotherapy is widely available, it's cheap, it's simple, and can be implemented straight away.
None of that could have happened without the willing participation of all the people that have participated. So to those men, one has to say a huge thank you, and not just a thank you from the UK, because STAMPEDE is a trial that's followed internationally. And so for future patients all over the world, these men are making a difference.
Chris Parker gave me early chemotherapy and he gave me radiotherapy, both of which weren't the protocol at the time. And I had to trust him. 3 years on, I then read a study that he was part of that basically says for my particular style of prostate cancer, it was probably a very good thing to do and will have extended my life on average. So for me, the STAMPEDE trial has been absolutely amazing.